Hello and welcome to a pending eruption on the edge. Let me explain. So what we have here is a Viper knife, really nice, something new for the channel, and it is the Viper Katla, Katla. Let's get that on camera there, and doing a little bit of a search on that word, and I'm not sure if this is what the knife was named after, but that is a volcano in Iceland, a volcano that hasn't erupted since 1918 for 103 years, and they say that it is long overdue because historically it erupted every 40 to 80 years. So the direct translation of the word Katla is into English is boiler or kettle. Right, there you have that. So this is a Vox design. So Jesper Voxness, the very well-known Danish knife designer, and you can see his Vox logo. If I get the light just right, maybe you'll be able to see it there on the blade. So yeah, Jesper Voxness designed knife, and a knife that Viper, the brand of knife, a knife that is made by Tecnocut. So Tecnocut, reading up a little bit on that company, was founded in 1987 in Maniago. Seems to be where all the Italian knives come from. And they've been manufacturing knives under the brand of Viper. And their little payoff line is Qualità d'autore. And that literal translation is quality by the author, or author quality, or some such thing. So there you go. Butchered the language and given you the Italian language, that is, and gave you a little bit of a background of the company and where the knife comes from. So now, after that very lengthy introduction, I'm going to do the usual materials, dimensions, and then design and attributes of this beautifully made and very desirable knife. Right, so we have a blade of Bowler M390 handle, carbon fiber. You can clearly see that. We've got stainless steel liners embedded in that carbon fiber. The clip is titanium. The screws are stainless steel. We've got a nice bronze backspacer. The pivot is bronze washers. And in fact, I lie, the pivot rings. So around that pivot screw, that is bronze. The pivot itself is ball bearings. And you can feel that with the smooth action of this knife. Right, let's charge through the dimensions. Blade length, we've got 82 millimeters or 3.22 inches. Blade thickness, 4 millimeters or 0.16 inches. Handle thickness is 12.1 millimeters or 0.47 inches. Closed length is 115.2 millimeters or 4.53 inches. Overall length, and I can see now that I didn't convert that to inches, so once again I'm going to be adding a little note at the bottom over here. Sorry guys, but that is 197.2 millimeters or that many inches. And then the weight, let's check the weight of this knife. A little bit of a weight to him, those stainless steel liners adding some weight to the knife, I imagine, and quite a thick blade as well, quite a stout blade. Right, let's get that cranked up, and we on ounces, so 4.3 ounces still means little to me. So, for those who understand that language, 4.3 ounces, and I will go to grams, something I understand, so 123 grams. So yeah, not light knife. Interesting. I've got the weight, the specs from their site, from Viper site, and they've got 105 grams and 3.07 ounces. So yeah, on my scale, which seems to be pretty accurate, quite different to what their stated weights are. Nevertheless, the weight feels nice. It makes the knife feel solid. It feels right for the size of knife. Right, let's open this. And as I open it, let me just say that this is another knife that is on loan from Helio. And Helio, I really do appreciate you allowing me to look over this knife. I mentioned in a review of a what was that other knife that I took of his. It's and I'll think of it in a second. But so the second knife I've actually grabbed from his very extensive and beautiful collection of knives, and I really do appreciate him allowing me to look at those knives. And it is Pole Force, as I waffled on. Pole Force was the other knife that it was the Pole Force Mike 3 that I used of his, and yeah, just another really beautiful knife. Right, so guys, let me just check. I just got a ding here, a dong or whatever from my camera, and I want to make sure that everything seems okay. It all seems to be running fine, so I am going to keep going. I don't know what that was all about. So Helio, thanks very much for allowing me to look at another one of your knives and trusting me to actually give it back to you. Because it is another beautiful knife. So this is described as a tanto blade, and it is just a tanto blade. So you can see the little corner on the blade sitting just over there, and then you can see the two grinds. So it is a compound grind, as you would find on any other tanto blade. But wow, it is just a tanto blade. At a quick glance, I would have called that a drop point. But I do see the littlest corner over there, and as I mentioned, you can see where the two grinds meet in that line. It is a satin finish. We've got a swedge running from the thumb stud all the way to the tip of the blade, and then a little bit of jimping on the back, just behind the thumb studs. Great resting place for your thumb right there. And then we've got a finger and sharpening choil. So we've got plenty space there to sharpen this knife. I'm not really going to comment on the edge because this is Helio's knife. I'm not sure if he's sharpened it in the interim, but it is really sharp, and that edge does look very neat. There are a few scratches on the blade, and so as I'm moving it around, you'll see that, but that is because this knife is a user. So right, what else on the blade? We've got a nicely rounded spine to the blade as well. So that is really beautifully finished off there. You can see it just in front of that jimping. Very nicely done. And then the thumb studs themselves, a little bit of detail on that. You can see that they've got a cone shape, but then those have been shaped as well, machined. They've sort of got steps running down. So they look good. And it does give you nice grip on those thumb studs when you thumb flick it out. Action while I'm doing that. The action on this knife is beautifully smooth. It flies out, and it's one of those that's just really smooth when you move it slowly. And with a little bit of coaxing, that is drop shuddy. Right, let's get the blade back open and look at this handle. So let me just say it right now that I am not a carbon fiber guy. I'm not particularly fond of carbon fiber on knives. I like my Carter G10, depending on how it's done. I like titanium. You know, most knives I like. I have never been attracted to carbon fiber on a handle. Well, let me tell you, this knife is really, well, let me stop there first. Let me pause there. Except when it's done in combination with another material. So here's the wee Natita that I brought in for this review. And there's carbon fiber, beautifully done, shaped and so on, but in combination with that bronzed finished titanium. I like that sort of thing. But just plain titanium handle, I'm not particularly fond of. But wow, this is really done superbly well. So you can see as I turn and the light catches the carbon fiber, the way they've done it on this knife is just, it is just absolutely stunning. And you can see this little bit of milling on the end. So they've done a 3D shaping to that carbon fiber on either end of the handle, and that just adds another dimension to it as well. And then take that charcoal carbon fiber black color in combination with that bronze that you've got on that little ring around the pivot, and with that backspacer. Well, it is, this is really beautiful. I mean, this is a carbon fiber handled knife that I would, yeah, I'm very attracted to, and I would very easily steal from somebody else who owned it. Well, by the time this airs, it'll probably be back in Helio's hands, so he won't be too worried about that. But the general shape, a clean, classically styled knife, good ergos. It's got a beveled edge all around the handle, so it feels comfortable in hand. So nothing spectacular on the overall shape. Let me just show you the size while I'm doing that. So you've got this big finger choil. Your front finger, your index finger very comfortably falls into that, and you can see plenty space for my medium-sized hands, large glove, as I've mentioned before, and bigger hands. You've got a little bit of room still to play with there. And then if you choke up on the blade, that's what it looks like in your hand. But yeah, I was saying, the overall shape, there's nothing dramatic about the outline of the knife, really classically styled, but it is the materials of this specific knife, that carbon fiber and the bronze, and that little bit of shaping, that bit of milling on the carbon fiber that really makes it look special. And then that little backspacer to give the little pop of color in that matte bronze. It is beautiful. And by the way, the finish on this knife, when you look at it close, it is gorgeous. It is so sumptuously and precisely and beautifully made. It really is. It's one of those knives. And then I mentioned the nested liner in there, and I now don't have a torch, stupidly, on the table, but you can maybe see in there, maybe I'm getting enough light in there, you can see that liner and where the lock is. So just over there, the lock, the liner sort of cut back to give a little bit of relief for the flex of the lock, and then a full liner on the other side, but nested in the carbon fiber, so that when you look at it end on, except where that lock sticking out, so if we turn it that way, you're not seeing that stainless steel sticking out. It looks like it's just a carbon fiber construction. And just looking at it now, I spotted something. So you've got the rounding on the back of the blade, but that little piece that's inside there, and in fact now you can see it there, that's also really nicely rounded. But yeah, beautifully finished off knife. Torx hardware, by the way, all over it. So if you do want to get into this knife, no problem. And then we've got a deep carry style pocket clip. Not reversible. You can see that it's countersunk, but very precisely and neatly done. But it does sit quite low on the knife. So if that's in your pocket, you're going to see the pocket clip, obviously. You're gonna get a bit of the knife sticking out. And then it came with this little leather lanyard, neatly done, and then we've got the little skull, and that is, I put a magnet to that, and that looks like it's titanium because it is not magnetic, but it looks very similar to the Pole Force knife that I recently acquired. Yeah, guys, beautifully made knife. That little bit of 3D machining or milling, whatever you want to call it, I suppose more machining on that carbon fiber just really does add something beautiful to this knife. Gorgeous. It is, by the way, there's a number of variations on this knife. So if you go into Tecnocut's website, there's actually 11 versions of this specific shape, and they're all called the Katla. And I've just thought about that. Katla, Cutler. I'm sure, play on words, maybe not. Who knows? Anyway, I've given you what I've researched that name to mean. But getting back to the variations on this knife, so you have titanium handles, you've got the different types of G10 handles, and in the titanium you've got different finishes on that. But I mean, go check it out. Some of them are really beautiful. This, I think, is stunning, but some of the other variations are also really, really stunning. But man, this knife in hand, you know, the first time I picked it up, Helio was showing me his knife collection, and we were pulling a few of them out. And when I put this thing in my hand, it was just, you know, you hold it and you feel that weight, and then you sort of feel how it's finished off around the edges, and then you flick it open, and it is a absolute quality product, this. And why, it is one of those knives that is deeply desirable, and I would love to get my hands on one. The first Viper knife, by the way, that I've had in my hands, I to be honest with you, hadn't heard of them. You know, the heathen and uninformed knife lover that I am. So yeah, beautiful. I scratched around their website a little bit, but they clearly make some really quality and beautiful knives. Just looking at it here as well, so little detail, you see the beveled edge, but then just how that bevel just becomes a little bit wider over there, and then thins out again. Oh yeah, guys, stunning knife. It's one of those knives that maybe even, you know, a video or photograph doesn't do justice to, but when you get it in your hand and you actually hold the knife, you realize that it is something quite special. Right, I have said thank you to Helio, so what's left to do is really a little bit of size comparisons, and I'm going to, now it just seems so mundane, bring out the usual suspects. So again, I'm just doing this because this knife has been out forever and a day, but the Benchmade Mini Barrage, just so that you can sort of get a sense of the scale of the knife. There you go, there's that. The Medford Slim Midi, nice knife, a knife that I do really like a lot as well. So very similarly sized, different type of knife, different styling, different approach to design, but there you go. So you get a sense of that, the Medford Slim Midi. The other one that I've been using, also a knife that's been out for very long, and that is the Spyderco Manix 2. Again, similarly sized, but very differently styled. And then I brought out the knife that I showed just now, just to show you that carbon fiber. I think it's one of the only carbon fiber knives that I actually own, this at the moment. And this is the Wee Nitida. But similarly sized knife, but also a beautifully made knife, and that combination of titanium and the bronze finish, whereas this is actual bronze and that's titanium bronze finish. There you go, those from both sides. And then I brought this one. I also popped it out in another review recently, the Wee Cirrus. A similar sort of overall shape of knife, but also sort of that elegant, classically styled knife. This one in titanium and S35. There we go. See that? And also a little pop of bronze on the gray there. Can you see that pop of bronze? There we go, a little pop of bronze there on that around the pivot as well. Right, there's that. And then this Bestek was a first production run, number 16 of 100. And this was the Bestek Tercel. So also a little bit of that bronze, or maybe more brass in this instance, but also a complex grind. So this is a compound grind. So this is a clip point, but you can see it's also got the little compound grind on that knife, and a stonewash finish. But also quite a classically styled knife as well, and also really very nicely made. Right, let's flick them back over so you can see them from the other side as well. And that's that, a couple of comparisons for you to look at and a few different knives. So yeah, guys, really nice to have something different on the channel as well, and something that I didn't know. And It is, I'm going to say it again, it's a quality product. It feels excellent in hand. It's one of those knives that is better in person. I think if you had some really good photographs of it, it might do it some justice, but it's one of those knives you have to get in hand. You have to feel that action. Absolutely beautiful. Helio, you're very blessed man to have some of these beautiful knives in your collection. I am rather green with envy. So, guys, a quick glance at the kettle again. Let me just see at the kettle. Did I just say at the kettle? It's bedtime. A quick glance at the notes. And see, make sure that I did cover everything. I tend to miss out at least one thing in every review. It's becoming a tradition. So I think that is it. I think I've covered everything, except to say that I really do appreciate you joining me. I really do appreciate your time. And of course, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can be informed every time a new video is loaded, because I really would love you to join me more often. And other than that, you go well and God bless.